Welcome everyone all around the world to the second ever AWE Women in Immersive Tech 6DoF, which is 6 degrees of female. This one's called Who Ran the New World. We are back by popular demand off the back of our AWE in Munich. And with me today is a lineup of superstar ladies who are doing amazing things in XR, AR, VR, webXR across the world with mental health education, cloudAR, entertainment and music. That's me. But more about that a little bit later. We are going to crack right into things with our first speaker. And then we're going to chat to everybody. We're going to chat to everyone one-on-one and have a little group talk. And then we are going to go to Lisa for our audience Q&As. So without further ado, what we also have are two big AWE exclusive announcements that will be happening in this session. So I hope you all have your Twitter handles ready. AWE, hashtag AWE 2020 and hashtag 6DoFemale. That's us. I am Kulhan. I'm an executive XR producer and creative technologist within the music and broadcasting industries. And as we just heard, we have Luciana, Alina, Leen, April, and Kavya. Everyone has like crazy last names, just like me. So I'm just going to crack right into it. And ladies and gentlemen, virtual round of applause to welcome our first guest, Leen Segers. I didn't hear the round of applause, guys. We need some more round of applause. Leen, I've known for a very long time now. She's the CEO of LucidWeb and an entrepreneur extraordinaire. But I'd like you, Leen, to tell a little bit about yourself and what you're up to with not only LucidWeb, but also as one of the co-founders of Women in Immersive Tech.
Thank you, Muki. So yes, my name is Leen. I'm wearing different hats. So my first hat, I guess, is my own startup. It's a pre-seed startup called LucidWeb, where we're focusing on democratizing VR and AR content via the web. So web-based solutions for companies. It goes from broadcasting, journalism, but as well to remote learning, for example. So the company is now 3 years old, and at about the same time, so 2017, I started a non-profit. Actually, it was at that point a Facebook group called Women in Immersive Tech that I'm going to highlight in a second. And last year, basically, because of the research that we have done with LucidWeb together with the VR Fund, we also participated in a consortium called XR for All, aiming to drive the European XR system forward. So XR for All is a community effort, mostly connecting people, startups, investors working in XR in Europe. So our Facebook group that I just mentioned, that I started, is called Women in Immersive Tech. It started as just a group where I tried to invite as many women that I knew in the industry as possible. And then last year, basically in October, we decided to transform it to a nonprofit and build a website. So this is the website that we have set up. So there are basically 4 co-founders that you can definitely check out. And then as well, for the past year, for the past couple of months, we have also had the help of some country-based ambassadors. Luciana in a second will also highlight that effort. And yes, we're trying to really professionalize activities going forward. So our vision is to create one inclusive network of talented women driving Europe's virtual, augmented, and mixed reality sectors. Activities go from connecting, meeting, inspiring, but also teaching. And as we're trying to professionalize our activities, we're actively as well looking for partners in industry. So Muki already mentioned it just now. We have quite big news. So we're actually, we found our first partner, and you can show the next slide. The partner that we're going to collaborate with is Facebook. So basically in November last year, I was invited to interview Michael Abrash here in Brussels. So he's the Facebook Reality Labs chief scientist. He was in Brussels. I met the Facebook team, and we found many of our goals that were in common. So we feel very proud that yes, Facebook is our first partner to move things forward a bit more professionally the following year.
Congratulations. That is world exclusive AWE news. We want everyone tweeting that. Women in Immersive Tech, Facebook, this partnership. Tell us a little bit more about that. But how long is this? Is it like a year-long thing, and what kind of support are they going to provide?
It started as a yearly partnership. Originally, when we were talking about partnering up, it was mostly focused on physical events driven by our local ambassadors across Europe. But now, of course, we're trying to transform those events into more virtual meetups, but still with a quite local focus. So, of course, the division of Women in Immersive Tech is Europe, because we truly believe that there are no borders and we should all team up, definitely at this stage. The fragmentation doesn't work in our advantage, but it does help to meet locally the people who are also active in the industry. So it's kind of this bottom-up approach, and Facebook is helping us with that.
Perfect. And so what is it, an exclusive partnership, or are they welcome to have other levels of partners get involved? And what are the other kind of partners that you're looking for?
Of course, we're hoping to welcome other partners. It's just a matter of time a matter of time of the co-founders basically focusing on the outreach to other partners who are willing or interested in collaborating. So I'm quite convinced that we're going to announce a couple of other big names the following months.
Excellent. And so tell us a little bit more about yourself as an entrepreneur and some of the ride that you've had with LucidWeb, and what kind of advice can you give other budding entrepreneurs in the XR space?
I think with LucidWeb, it has been very challenging, but as well at the same time, super exciting. So I guess as an entrepreneur, I think the word resilience is quite key. And trust the trust the process, or connecting the dots, like Steve Jobs. So just take it step by step, day by day, and then all of a sudden you reach a milestone, basically. So with LucidWeb, I think for us now, definitely, and I think a lot of startups with us, you have to be very flexible. Global pandemic affects every business, and I believe that that in VR and AR we have the opportunity now to look into what are the needs and how can we offer a solution that fits that. So I think resilience, but also a lot of flexibility is key for an entrepreneur.
No, fantastic. And then also, you're one of the many hats you're wearing. You're involved with XR for All, which I'm very lucky to also be an ambassador and that as well. But tell us about, when we were chatting earlier about the lack of females applying for some of these grants. So XR for All is part of the European Commission's Horizon 2020 initiatives. And there is a handful of cash ready to share with people to help with their R&D and help with their projects and help with their companies. And so there were open calls to apply for these grants. However, you didn't see many females or female-run businesses come through the door. How were you feeling about that, and why do you think that was?
True. So XR for All runs for 3 years. Basically, you can apply for a grant up to 50,000 euros. That basically can sponsor part of your MVP or your complete MVP. So it really helps you to convince the product that you wanna ship. So there are 3 cutoff dates. The first is in the past, and effectively there was really very low. I'm a bit embarrassed to confirm the percentage of women or female founders or female C-level executives being part of the teams that were submitting. So I truly hope that with the next cutoff dates it will be different. So the next one is the 26th of June. Of course, we can promote as much as we can. But yes, I think there's definitely still big room for improvement and a lot of work to do to make sure that the right teams are reached with these kind of initiatives from the European Commission.
And so we've also found like a lot of males running businesses encouraging their female colleagues to take part in that. So we'll give some messaging out on Twitter at Women in Immersive Tech. So you can find us there and hit Leen at LucidWeb for more info. Thank you, Leen. We're going to move swiftly on to April. Hello, April. Welcome to AWE. This is not your first session at AWE, I hear.
Yes, hello all. Welcome. Excited to be on this particular panel, though, of course.
Your favorite panel.
There you go. Excuse me. But you know, in all honesty, as I prepared for today's panel, I had to take a minute to reflect on the current state of human relations in the U.S. And it just helped me to realize more that I know my role in XR and immersive tech is that much more needed as a female on the forefront of XR. So my particular lens of expertise is threefold, and I like to say it's the 3 Ps of who I am. So first and foremost, a parent. I'm a parent of 3 kids who are all aspiring technologists in emerging trends in tech. I have 2 daughters and a son, so I'm on both spectrums of this next gen. Also, I serve as a professor of cybersecurity, health information management, and computer information systems. And third, and more reflective of today's panel, as a professional advocate. I serve as an engagement strategist at my consultancy, The STEM Broker, also as global diversity and inclusion advisor at the XR Safety Initiative, XRSI, and then as the lead at the CyberXR Coalition.
And we've got a slide for that, Nolan.
That is right, going right into it. So we launched in early 2020, so earlier this year, under the umbrella of the XR Safety Initiative, XRSI. And the catalyst for this coalition was a need for a global, yet unified and collaborative D&I entity within cybersecurity and the XR ecosystem. Equally important was a vision to help build safe and inclusive digital experiences. And then our mission is to lead this necessary narrative, which plays right into why we are here on this panel today, to be the voice to actively address social and technical biases in emerging technologies through measures such as this, the panel today, and as we'll mention later, publishing timely content that speak to issues such as this.
Exactly.
So primarily, when you ask, what is the CyberXR Coalition? I'd like to say that we embody 2 things. We are a global collective of XRSI and then 10 other intentionally D&I focused cybersecurity and XR organizations. So this is a very intentional collaborative effort. And then 2, we are a diverse representation, as you can see in our collage here, and that we are literally a diverse representation of what CyberXR and what XR needs to look like.
Exactly. Yeah, and you guys have been working hard. Obviously, Leen and I are part of this as well. So it's kind of like a crazy session where we're talking about, like, we're all intertwining. We're all like really passionate about supporting each other and supporting these initiatives. And we really are making an effort to make sure that the teams we're working with are diverse. The projects we've got on are diverse. The mission statements are diverse. And we're passing along good knowledge and good research, good collaboration, and really strong messaging to all of our peers and anyone that's interested in any of this kind of stuff. That's at CyberXR on Twitter, and more to come on that a little bit later when we roll over to Kavya. But thank you for that, April. And we are going to move over to Alina, who is also part of the CyberXR Coalition. And I met her last November when AWE was in Munich. Was that October, November, Alina?
October.
And I have to say, that was your very first panel with us in October. And I'm so proud of you, come leaps and bounds. So I'm so happy to have you on this session as well. Welcome, Alina. please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to with cloudAR and also CyberXR.
Sure, Mookie, but I think Luciana is next, though.
Oh, you're right. Luciana's.
mistaken?
There we go. It's a tech show. Forgive me, Luciana. You know why? Because I was like looking at your face. That's okay. Luciana, no, okay. Rewind. Backing up. We're all human. We're doing these things quite a bit. So Luciana, okay. Now, she's got a very special intro too, because this is another fantastic female in the tech scene that I've known for a long time. And we've been on many, many, many sessions together. And I've seen her grown leaps and leaps and bounds. And about a year ago, roughly, you moved back to her home country of Portugal and has done some pretty amazing things, not only with her own startups and company, but around the areas of mental health and also in women immersive tech. So over to you, Luciana, and sorry about that skippage.
No, that's perfectly fine. So very, very grateful to be with you guys today. I'd like to say I'm kind of on not three P's, but actually my synonyms equate to him. So it's an interesting paradox, but it starts with human tech. I'm driven by how we can leverage and use technology to make us more human. So I'm always passionate about how we can use XR to better understand ourselves. The second one is inclusion. So I'm a big advocate and sit on boards of LGBTQ charities to all the other work I do around women in immersive tech that I'll touch upon. And the last thing is mental health. So my journey over the past 4 or 5 years have been, it started with working on a project that was called the Memory Palaces VR. And that those two strands of immersive future tech and psychology, psychiatry, neuroscience, and what I eventually sort of humorously called brain hacking was as something that permeated the last few years of my life. So as Mookie said, I lived in London. I worked with Rewind, Global Studio and XR. Co-founded the Reality Center, where our goal was to bridge the connect between the artistic community, enterprise, and developer community, focusing on innovation. But really, kind of the past 2 years have seen my coming out with my mental health, and eventually founding a company that looks at how we can better help individuals and organizations understand their levels of stress, anxiety, and depression, and effectively target them in a holistic, personalized way. And at the moment, the research, it's 2D for right now, but I'm collaborating with partners all over the world and with a neuroscience center here in Portugal on how we can implement XR to take that to the next level. And also the other hats that I wear, I think much like most of you kind of extraordinary ladies, I wear many different hats. So it's a lot around community building, advocacy. So I'm the Women in Immersive Tech Europe ambassador for Portugal. Have the fortunate luck of working with Leen and furthering we did a Women in XR meetup at Web Summit. Then another one is the VRARA, so VR and AR Association in Portugal. I sit on the board of that, and I'm trying to bring more of that macro level innovation and strategy and transformation through working with these think tanks. Another one that's really exciting that we've announced recently is the European Digital Society and the Disruptive Council of Portugal, Agora. So we're really trying to put Portugal on the map when it comes to an ecosystem of both tech talent, but also kind of, companies that are really doing transformative work.
Amazing. Like you don't stop, do you? How do you do it?
Sleep more.
No, we're all like so crazy and busy.
I want to talk though. I'm very passionate about my mental health. So I get my hours of sleep. Don't have kids yet, April. So
right.
So I do get some sleep. Yeah.
That's good. And we do have a slide for that, Nolan. If you don't mind sharing the slideshow, that would be great. I'm not able to see that, but I'm sure it's up if anyone else can see it. Is it there? Okay, great, cool. So another amazing achievement that you've conquered recently is that you have actually had the coronavirus and you've come out of that. What was it like trying to, you know, obviously your health is the number one thing and mental health goes with that. Do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, being an entrepreneur and, you know, coming out on the other side of the virus and moving forward with that? Like, how did it change your perception of being a businesswoman or running all the verticals that you're involved with in Portugal?
Well, it definitely, so I had a very, you could say mild because I wasn't hospitalized, but I don't like to use the word mild because the shelf life of the virus is so long that it took me about 8 weeks to be able to feel like I'm a normal functioning human being. And at the moment, I still feel like I'm extremely exhausted, a lot more, more commonly than usual. And I find that on the flip side of that, which has been really interesting, is that I realized that I was a little bit of a functioning workaholic, as you can imagine from what I just said. And right. I've been trying to take a step back, and I'm fortunate to have a co-founding team that's based in Australia. And in terms of workload, as you can imagine, also we're in the mental health space, so we've had to accelerate our activities and be able to support folks all around the world that are suffering with mental health. At the moment, it seems like we're all having some sort of experience of mental health. And on one hand, for me, I would add to Leen's advice for entrepreneurs that I felt this guilt where my body was saying, don't, just you cannot get out of bed. But I still felt a bit of a guilt, also driven by purpose and impact, and thinking actually doing something that could help people right now. So I should get out of bed, but it's a bit like, I usually say you can't pour from an empty cup. So unless I take care of myself first, I won't be able to do anything that would help others. So I started using, doing some work with myself in practicing the art of stillness. That's a great book, by the way, Pico Iyer, and taking, really internalizing that unless I'm able to switch off, and I had to completely switch off, no WhatsApp, social media, nothing, and really take a moment to fully recharge and let my body heal before I could step out and do anything that would help others.
Yeah,
I think we've been living in this hustle culture for way too long, and it's about time that we all recognize that ultimately we are humans, and let's lead with a human first, right?
So important to remember, and we're so glad you're with us. And although remotely, we miss you in London 1000% too. And thank you for talking so candidly and openly about the issues that a lot of people ignore, but it has come to the forefront. Mental health issues have come to the forefront, you know, in the last year, I think, and especially in light of the last couple months with everyone kind of experiencing some level of anxiety or another. So thank you so much, Luciana. And now, fast forward over to Alina. You've already had the intro. Let's go straight to you, Alina.
No worries. Thanks, Muki. Hi, everyone. I'm Alina Kadlubsky, a product designer, webXR developer by day, and director of communications and chair of the user experience, accessibility, and safety working group of OpenAir Cloud. So in behalf of the whole team, in behalf of our amazing team, so thanks for having us part of this amazing female powerhouse panel today. And I'm really excited talking to you all and getting to know what you do within the XR industry. It's really inspiring. So we, the OpenAir Cloud, are a global nonprofit organization founded in 2018 with the mission to drive the development of open and interoperable spatial computing technology, data, standards, and best practices to connect the real and the digital world for the benefit of all, and have been growing steadily ever since. We're currently around 300 members, and since yesterday, not 55, but actually 56 partners.
Congratulations,
Next,
breaking news, AWE exclusive, folks.
so next slide, please.
Oh,
These are the 3 core functions of the open spatial computing platform, which we are currently quite busy on developing. So first, starting from the left is GeoPost. So basically like the URL link links information, GeoPost can link the real and the digital world. Our founding partners, the Open Geospatial Consortium, are developing this universal standard together with us within its GeoPost standards working group. On the 24th this year, the SVG actually kicked off its work, and we're quite looking forward to maybe have a draft by the end of this year ready. And then in the middle, we have the reality modeling language, so a locally shared machine readable world. So provide users and machines with a powerful new way to interact with reality through standardized encoding of geometry, semantics, properties, and relationships of a dynamic reality at their core location through a reality service that speaks a reality modeling language. And on the right is the Spatial Discovery Service, the SDS. So through a locally listing of references in a Spatial Discovery Service, you have seamless access to content services, applications, communication channels that are available to you at your local, at your location. Not totally unlike a DNS, but operating in a more distributed way by focusing on referencing local resources. So it's really essential that this platform is designed for all of humanity in all its diversity and does not become a walled garden controlled by one or a few large corporation. As we all on this call here and everybody who's listening from the industry, we all know that there are so many large companies are investing heavily in this type of technology, but they might not be the best custodians of important things like, for instance, privacy and freedom of individuals. So the type of distributed architecture that is ideal for a spatial web or the metaverse or however you want to call it, could really unleash opportunity and prosperity around the globe, because spatial data, content, and services are most valuable at its core origin. And if done right, we really believe that the spatial web will empower individuals, local businesses, communities alike to be in charge of their digital lives and economies. So
brilliant. Well, you guys have been working very, very, very hard on a lot of these elements, you know, especially even since when I met you back in October at AWE in Munich. You know, some of those things were kind of just starting to perch, and now they're starting to take off and fly. So congratulations on all the work that you've put in there. And lastly but not least, thank you, Alina. And lastly but not least, in the right order, because she's our final 5th one-on-one speaker, Kavya Pearlman. So I'm gonna pass the baton right over to you to introduce yourself and tell us about some of the very, 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 very game-changing type of things that you're doing with XRSI and CyberXR. I think you're on mute.
I am
there
now.
We go, just a tech show. We're just
yes.
It's fine.
Thank you, Muki. I'm Kavya Pearlman, and I am the CEO and founder of XR Safety Initiative. And we can actually move the slide right over to the next one, because I'm going to do this sort of a shameless plug. It's really not shameless. It's you know, it's really for the benefit
no
of the
shame.
greater good.
Writing standards, honey.
Yeah, we're really just working towards the greater good of the community. So in the past few months, we've noticed, and all of us know, schools have changed, schools have locked down, and people are, you know, isolated, people are staying alone. So we know that this is an opportunistic moment where we can extend our reality, where all of these virtual reality platforms, they're moving fast, and they're really trying to nail down this absolute like they call it the killer app. So as XR Safety Initiative, which, started back in 2019, what we are observing at the moment is people are moving fast and looking for this killer app, but who is caring about standards or a baseline? This is an opportunity for us to define those things. And it's not just an opportunity, it's a dire need. Let me give you an example. So COVID-19 is compelling a lot of people to pick sides. Like it's like a very polarizing topic these days. Why is that? Because I have not yet found a perfect definition of what we consider a COVID death. So if somebody had taken the time to universally define what is COVID death, then we wouldn't have this problem. So that speaks directly to standards. We have to find first the common language. Then we have to evolve these things so everybody could adopt the same protocols. We could adopt risk-based methodology. And in order to do that, there are several programs that we are running. First, you see, something that we launched yesterday, CyberXR, which is the, collective of all of us, 5 of us from this panel right here are a part of it. Why? Because inclusivity, safety, trust, human-centric design is so essential to making progress in XR and really maintaining trust. And that's what kind of I'm mostly concerned about, is building trust. So, programs like data classification framework. How do you even evaluate a platform is handling data properly when you don't even know what kind of data is going into it? We're talking about brain waves. We're talking about biometrics data. We have to label it correctly. And all of these, some of the programs are really just targeted towards it. We have child safety initiative. I mean, we still don't know what's the appropriate age for a child to get into these virtual reality experiences or augmented reality experiences. So those are things that really concern us, and heavy focus is being given to that. Another one that we this year started is Medical XR Council, and there's endless list of things that we are doing. Cyber XR Coalition is just another example. We even did like privacy review for COVID-19, and then fairly recently bug bounty program. So at the moment, I encourage everybody to stop using things like standards are for losers or things like that, because that is a very dangerous narrative. It's okay to move fast, but what I encourage the industry is to move purposefully and not just focus on capitalism, but focus on human-centric design. Bring everybody together, be inclusive. Only then, and this is, that's why we have to do things like 60OF panels, and, because we have to bring all of our females, children, people who have special needs, all of them together in this reality. Only then we can build safe and inclusive environments.
Very good, wise words. And as a member of the CyberXR Coalition, I'm proud to say that there's been a lot achieved with this group and with these standards. So congratulations on the launch of these standards too, April and Kavya. I know you guys worked very, 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 very hard. So we look forward to hearing a little bit more about that as time passes, and what the industry reaction has been like, and the comments that have been coming in have been super positive on social media that I've seen. So well done again. You guys have worked super hard. So I'm going to move over to the group chat now and just kind of open up for a few questions before we go to any audience questions, if there are any coming in. I believe Lisa is from AWE is standing by with any burning questions. Yeah, so just to the group, like what, as far as like innovation is going, what's the biggest change that you've seen in innovation, just kind of like in a sentence each before we go to Lisa and some of the questions coming in from the audiences. I want to go back to Leen, actually. What's been kind of popping up in your head, and then followed by April, please.
Very, very recently, I hear a lot of people talking about these hybrid conference kind of setup. So you have a team meeting, for example, with people in the workplace, and then you can also access it from outside, so you don't have to travel. So it's a combination of people in an office, and then via virtual reality or with other technologies, you can also have access to the meeting room virtually. So that's been popping up in a lot of conversations recently, and there, of course, you can of course bring in other technologies like AI and 5G, etc. But I really think this is a new subject that I think is super relevant today.
Cool. And a quick word from you, April.
Yes, and what I'm seeing even from the educational realm is that we're intersecting the remnants of COVID-19 into how are we able to keep our educational standards and levels to the point where they need to be. So I'm really looking at and seeing a lot of conversation around that conversation of the intersectionality of immersive technology and online training in respect to COVID-19.
Yeah, that's great. And Alina, has anything been catching your eye, Alina?
I would say, just from AWE, I would say I'm really looking forward to get my hands on Unity's Mars that they launched yesterday.
June 1st.
So, I mean, that goes from my side, from my personal side, not with the open air cloud hat, but there might also be a couple of things.
Well, I am speaking to you as a unique individual in your own right, miss. So I'm glad to hear you want to get your hands dirty. Over to you, Luciana. What's the biggest inspiration and innovation that's been catching your eye lately?
Well, kind of like April, I think what COVID-19 has accelerated or actually brought digital transformation to health as well. So we're seeing things that kind of telemedicine has just exploded over the past few months. Not just kind of physical health, but particularly mental health. And I think it's interesting when we're talking about tech and ethics and standards. That's something that's been popping up a lot in terms of data security and how and where do we draw the line when it comes to getting biometric data to accessing people's individuals' data sets to further help with their therapeutic interventions, let's say.
It's definitely the right time to be showcasing those elements, 100% for sure. And lastly, Kavya, a quick soundbite from you, please.
Yes, so I am with Luciana right there because it's not that we didn't have an isolation and loneliness pandemic before, but COVID-19 has made it worse, and all the innovation coming out of XR industry is really the solution. We have to move to telehealth, but we have to move safely and purposefully, which is why we sense the urgency to create these baseline narratives so we can enable the industry, because we absolutely have to. There is a pandemic of, even I personally felt as I was alone in the house since March 6th, I've been indoors and barely walks here and there. It is causing people to really freak out. I mean, some of the extended friends have even hinted at suicide type of issues that are coming up. So I'm with Luciana and many others that are working in the mental health and the cross section of XR. That's a huge one that's coming up, and we need to gear up and protect and enable these technologies.
100%. And I hope that, I know this will be played back later on AWE's YouTube channel, so I hope everyone's going to watch this back and absorb the knowledge that is happening within this. So now, Lisa from AWE, if you are on the line, Lisa, line 1, are you there?
Yes,
if you do have any questions, hi Lisa. Sorry about that before. Hey, so are there any questions coming from our audience?
Yes, I have a great question from Lauren Sandall, who would like to know, are there any mentorships available with the immersive tech kind of groups that you ladies represent? She's new to the field and would love to be in touch with others who are more experienced so she can learn.
Who'd like to take that one first?
And I can go ahead and plug in the same CyberXR coalition. You want to, if you really are just dabbling your feet, there are people coming in from cybersecurity industry, education industry. A lot of these industries have various expertise. So when it comes to the coalition, we need all these diverse perspectives to enable and build out the baseline and then evolve these standards. So I think you can go right on cyberxr.org. That's, start volunteering. That would be be one thing. And then, of course, under the leadership of April, a lot of the people who didn't know much about XR now actually are participating and finding new risks from a security perspective, from other perspectives. So one thing that I would encourage is go there.
And you can always hit Women in Immersive Tech on Twitter at WIIT_Europe, and also at XR4all. So you can tweet any of the organizations that we've been talking about today and feedback. So I'd love to hear some more audience questions if there's any more, Lisa.
Well, one question. So for those of us out here who are huge advocates of diversity within the immersive tech field, what do you ladies think is like the most important action that we can take kind of today to help champion this?
Sure. I'm looking at April. I think we've made eye contact through Zoom.
Exactly. I'll speak to that.
Head nod.
I'll speak to that. I'd say it's almost threefold. I think I'm in love with this number 3. But to look at yourself and your role is where you are now. And you can further leverage it, whether it be an ally, an advocate, or active participant. Ally, collaborate with the rock stars on this panel today. And it extends even beyond that. And then this also challenge goes out to our male counterparts. As an advocate for projects that are being led by the women that are on the panel today and our collaborative partners, and advocate for underrepresented populations. And then as an active participant, help fund and sponsor or volunteer, as Kavya mentioned, for projects and events that advocate for D&I initiatives. So an ally, advocate, or active participant. Determine what your role could be.
I love it.
And
That's
I would
answer.
answer that also, don't be afraid to speak up and to take the leap. I think it's really important, and we know that historically, due to unconscious biases or societal barriers, we as either women or minority groups, we tend to take that leap less. And I think much like the XR for All, when I was helping Anne-Marie curate the VR and AR Global Summit that's happening next week, we also saw a disproportionately small number of female and diverse applicants. So I would like to see more of that, more of that. Just put yourselves out there. Don't be afraid, and really don't just take the leap. Take the virtual leap.
Literally, huh?
From Leen, do you have any last words on that one?
No, I just wanted to add to it, but it's in the same context. So what we've been seeing recently, definitely in Women in Immersive Tech group, is that when we see there's a panel with only males, that we have to take the first step and contact anyone in the panel to see if they could bring the message forward to the organizer and say that they don't accept being in a panel, but there's so little focus on diversity. I think if they amplify our voice, that definitely helps as well.
And we have had great support from, males, trans, curious, everyone across the world is, I think, waking up a little bit more to sharing that voice, to look around you. Who is on your session? Who is in your office? Who's on your board? To have that level of diversity where you can have different voices heard, but all representing the same missions and objectives from that. So cool.
Love
I think,
Great,
is there any more,
discussion.
Lisa? Are we running on time?
Well, we are running some. As to wrap things up, I would love for you guys to just one more give a shout out of where people can find you, how people can reach you, in case they missed the top of the presentation. That would be awesome, and then we will go to a break here.
Okay, great. I'll let you guys go first. April?
All righty. Well, as the lead for the CyberXR Coalition, you can find all that we're doing and releasing and our standards and information at cyberxr.org.
Leen?
So the best way to come in contact with all the powerful women in Europe is Women in Immersive Tech Europe. It's a Facebook group. If you type it in, you immediately will find the right group.
Thank you. Kavya?
So for XR Safety Initiative, you can go to www.xrsi.org or at Twitter, xrsi.org. There are forms available for various segments. If you're a student, if you're a university, academia, if you're a regulator, or if you're a public-private entity, you can choose your context and submit, and we'll try to enable you to one of the programs that is relevant.
Perfect. Luciana and then Alina, and then I'll wrap things up.
Yep. So I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn. So it's at L Carvalho. I know it's a mouthful. CARVALHOSE, my last name. My mental health startup is called Mindcheck. We're on mindcheck.me. And I think and Women in Immersive Tech, obviously, that Leen covered.
And Alina.
Sure, openaircloud.org, check us out and get in touch and join forces.
Amazing. And you can find me at MUKI approved on Twitter and across all of the socials, and part of the CyberXR and Women in Immersive Tech and XR for All. And very proud to be part of this AWE 2020 initiative and session and panel. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, AWE, and get in touch with us and we'll party together soon. We promise.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.